Good afternoon. Welcome to our Lead Advisor Group Marketing Stream. I'm Catherine Martin, co-founder, and if you've been to one of our virtual events in the past, welcome back. But if you're a first-time visitor, we're glad you're here. Thanks to everyone for carving out time in your busy schedules to join us today. At a Lead Advisor Group, we partner, work with, and help financial institutions, RIAs, and IMOs build stronger relationships and connections with their markets. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that is a really hot topic for all of us who are in the business of marketing to financial advisors. And that topic is value. Right now, most of you are familiar with red ocean, blue ocean. Well, today, we're in the middle of a really big red ocean. Just in the last 3 days, I've received over 15 major releases on value-add programs that people have put out. And what's the reason? Well, there's a really good reason, because of the payoff. When advisors believe that you really offer a true value to their business, they become really enthusiastic and they become extremely loyal contributors to your business. We call this the value exchange. And you know what? When you don't do that, you also lose value. So let's go ahead and get started. Jack today is going to bring to you a discussion on value. Jack is co-founder and has worked in this business for quite some time. Jack, those of them out there that are online, how do they create and punch up a value for their value proposition?
Well, great question, great setup. Thank you very much, and thank you all for joining us today. We're going to dive into four discrete areas today. We're going to talk about the competitive landscape, because most of us in marketing need to understand the environment we're going to work in. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with marketing programs today, what's working and what's not and why. We're going to give you some strategic notes that we've collected on what's going on in the mind of financial advisors today. What do they care about? What are they looking for? What do they expect from us as partners with them? And what are the keys to having a successful value-add marketing program? And finally, we've got some things in development we want to share with you, some ideas that may be of value to you as we go forward. So, you know, Catherine said it really well. This space is absolutely a red ocean, and I think we can all agree that this is an extremely competitive market that we all live in. You know, from the consumer point of view, the lines are blurred about who they're dealing with and who's providing them with financial services. Is it a wirehouse? Is it an RIA? Is it an insurance agent? So, you know, that reflects the competitive nature of it. And then we've got financial advisors who all work with multiple strategic partners, and sometimes playing one strategic partner off another for value as they perceive it. So that's an important aspect to the environment we're working in today. The other aspect is the headwinds that advisors face. You know, as Mark Hurley said, growth of the next decade is going to be way more challenging than it has been in the last decade. And advisors, you know, are facing an aging target market. So, you know, boomers are aging, and that means boomers are starting to consume their assets, which means the asset base for the financial advisor is going to start to diminish unless they can tap into some of the next generation of pre-retirees, and we'll talk some about that. Advisors are facing increasing costs, you know, due to payroll and finding good people to help them grow, more spending on technology. And then you've got all the competition that advisors face. So I think we'd all agree that the advisor is facing a lot of headwinds in the next 10 years. How about you? You know, from where you sit, it's not a pretty picture. There's a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace. Certainly the financial markets are causing a lot of consumers to keep their cash on the sidelines. You know, we're all looking at margins that are getting squeezed, you know, by lower interest rates and by volatility. We're looking at increasing costs because the regulators keep increasing our cost of business. We're looking at a lot more competition for financial advisors' time. All those things that advisors were dealing with as headwinds that we talked about a second ago are all consuming their time, and so it's much more difficult for us to get that mental shelf space that used to seem to come so easily, 4, 5, 6 years ago. And these all contrast for us with the successes that we had in building our businesses over the last 5 or 6 years. It's been a challenging time, but I think we've all had a fair amount of success. The problem is, can we sustain that? And what will you be able to adapt to these new realities? We talk a lot about behavioral finance with financial advisors, and there's an important point that Mark Hurley makes that I think applies to you and I, and that's that we don't necessarily perceive these headwinds in the same way that we weigh the successes that we had in the past. What he's saying is that we're still kind of living with one foot in the past, feeling like, what worked for us before will continue to work for us in the future. We don't need to change the way we're doing business. We don't need to change the way we're approaching the marketplace. And that's called anchoring, and it's a function of human behavior. Our customers deal with it, and we deal with it. And if we're going to make a change to adapt to what's happening in this new market that we're all operating in, we're going to need to, put that anchor aside and respond to some of the new things that are going on. So that's kind of the context that we're all operating in today. Let's talk a little bit about marketing programs. Obviously, one important part of your value proposition is the support that you provide financial advisors, and that normally comes in the form of a marketing program. So why are they important today, and what are they really when we talk about marketing programs? What do we mean, and what aren't they, and how do you make them work for you? And so let's drill down a little bit into this and talk about why we want to focus on the marketing program as part of our value proposition. Independent financial advisors are just that. They are independent. They have choices. They're not forced into a particular target client. They're not forced into any technologies. They have lots of technology choices, lots more, it seems like, every day. They have choices about how they're going to be compensated, whether it's fee and commission, and even the fee sort of structures are changing and evolving as we speak. And then they have the product selection. I mean, the menu that they have to offer, the business models that they have to choose from really are evolving rapidly. And finally, of course, they have strategic partners, and that's you and I. So why would they choose you? It's no longer just about product, as we're going to discover in a little bit, but now it's really more about helping them fight those headwinds that we talked about and helping them achieve their business objectives. And so here's some key words to focus on when you're talking about strategic partnership and talking about building value and relationships with these financial advisors. And the key words are, in this quote, support that advisors are looking for. It's easy for us to, in our home offices say, here's kind of where we think we want to go with this particular program, and here's how we want to promote this product. But it's not always in alignment with the mindset of the financial advisor. If you can somehow get into alignment with what the financial advisor is looking for, you're going to do a lot better job of getting their allegiance and gaining a competitive advantage. And that's really a key. That's why value-add marketing programs can be so powerful. As John Bowen said, 6 out of 10 financial advisors who use a value-add program are more likely to do business with the firms that offer those programs. And that's why so many of you have launched various programs over the last 4 or 5 years. I know some of you are saying, yeah, but when we tried that in the past, we really didn't get the results that we were looking for. And we understand that. And we want to address why you might have had disappointing results. Spending by you folks on value-add programs is up significantly, so you see the value. But what's also up significantly is the lack of traction that they may be getting for you. Only 26% of financial advisors last fall felt that the VAMPs they were getting were satisfied to very satisfied with what was coming their way. So what that means is 74% of financial advisors were lukewarm at best about the value add offerings. So really, a couple of things about that. The first is that represents an opportunity. 26% were able to succeed in launching a program, 74% weren't. So, there's some opportunity there if we can get it right. The second thing is, just because you've done programs in the past doesn't mean that you should abandon the strategy. We had a great comment, a great story last night in a group we were in, and they said, have you ever been to a restaurant and had bad service or gotten bad food? And because of that, have you stopped eating out? Well, of course we didn't stop eating out. We continue to go to the restaurants. And so, yes, you may have had some challenges or disappointing results with your value-add marketing programs in the past, but that doesn't mean that the strategy isn't valid. There are ways that we can address that for you. When they work, why is it that they work? And why is it that so some firms are so committed to the strategy? Well, that's really at the heart. What's at the heart of this is what we call relationships. In order to implement a successful value-add marketing program, you have to know that person. You have to know that financial advisor, and you have to know them if you're going to have a relationship with them. You have to care about them if you're going to have a relationship. And if you're involved and connected to that financial advisor, that means that you're going to be interjected into their business. You're going to understand their business model. You're going to understand their concerns. You're going to understand the headwinds they face. And really, it's at that level that you're then able to become a true partner with them. We call that the value exchange. They have concerns. You have programs that you're going to offer to help them address those concerns, and in exchange for that, they're going to become, much more loyal, much more enthusiastic about using your products and services. So, how do you go about making them work for you? Let's talk about some of the milestones, for building these programs, and the elements that you need to have from our perspective. There are some key points that you need to make sure you have in your program. These are things that we've discovered over the last 20-plus years that we think help make them successful. The first and most obvious thing is you need to really understand your customer. You need to get into their head and really understand what's on their agenda. So, there's a listing process that, for instance, we go through with the top advisors we work with. We're constantly collecting input from them. We're synthesizing that as an organization, and then figuring out how we can use that to connect more deeply with the financial advisor and solve their problems, take advantage of the headwinds that they have to give them solutions and ways to grow their practice. And at the end of the day, the driving question is, here's how I can help. And if you've taken that perspective, if you've taken kind of a servant approach, if you will, to this building marketing program process, that's where the sweet spot is, that's where the success occurs. So let's take a quick look at some of the things that we know are on the mind of the financial advisor today. Schwab just released their advisor outlook. What's really interesting is by a pretty wide margin, these investment advisors are concerned with branding, and they're concerned with differentiating themselves. Now, that's a little bit different than a lot of us might have thought as far as concerns. But really what it speaks to is the fact that they're concerned with competition. They're concerned with being able to communicate to their target audience what makes them different and why they can be of value to their prospective clients. Let's take a different perspective on this. Look a little bit more broadly at what advisor concerns are. If you notice here in this first column where we talk about delivering high-quality financial services and products, this is the 2012 version of the survey. It was done 3 years previously, and the product slot, the product column, really was far to the right. So product has become more important to financial advisors, but it's become more important to financial advisors only from the perspective of meeting client expectations. finding the, quote, best product, finding the highest rate, finding the best rate of return, finding the lowest risk factor in a portfolio. Those aren't the kinds of terms that financial advisors generally use. It's true that there's a segment of the market that's going to be really focused on those kinds of points, but generally speaking, they're going to be more concerned with products that deliver good results and aren't disappointing to their customers. And so it really is almost a game of table stakes from a product perspective. What's really interesting is the focus that financial advisors have on growing their assets. Separate from finding product, they're really interested in growing their business. In fact, this was reinforced by the same Schwab study that said that 2/3 of the advisors they spoke with felt that their top concern over the next 3 years was growing their revenues. And so this is a huge opportunity for us to think about how we build programs to help financial advisors grow their business and maintain some degree of satisfaction with their clients. So what is it that advisors are wanting? What is the next VAMP opportunity, if you will? Is it in building strategic alliances? That's kind of been done and maybe not so attractive anymore. Is it attracting more affluent clients? That whole thing of targeting, again, seems to have been done, maybe not quite so popular anymore. Clearly, there's an opportunity for programs that talk about social media. That continues to be a big buzz. But we suggest to you that there is an 800-pound gorilla in the room when it comes to the opportunities for marketing programs. We call it the challenge of the decade. And what we're referring to is this retirement income crisis. Estimates are anywhere from 6.8 to $14 trillion is how big the shortfall is for retirees today. That's how short they are on having enough income. So this is a huge opportunity for you. Now, there's no doubt that folks have started, and in fact, most financial advisors have incorporated retirement income planning into their practice. But if you drill down into what they're doing, what you find is that they're not very satisfied. And neither are consumers. Hearts and Wallets did a great job of surveying retirees and pre-retirees last summer and had them actually participate in 27 retirement income planning conversations with the 27 largest institutions in this retirement income planning space. So, those are the biggest of the bigs. Who have spent millions of dollars developing these programs. And if you haven't heard these results, then, I hope you aren't too disappointed. But only 3 out of those 27 programs received, excellent to satisfactory grades from the consumers. So clearly, there's room to figure out a better way to reach consumers and address their real concerns. And that's what's really on the mind of advisors. They understand that the consumer isn't happy with the way the planning model is working today. Areas where the advisors really want help, they want lots of help, is in the tools to communicate with clients. So the retirement income planning collateral, they would like to have some help in prospecting, and we'll talk about some ideas there in a second. Equally important, are the planning tools that they have. Kind of running in a little bit fourth position are product updates and yield generating strategies. But those are the top 5 things that advisors want help with respect to their retirement income planning clients. So it's true, most advisors have incorporated retirement income planning into their practice, but what hasn't happened is they haven't found a way to be efficient and a way to really address the concerns of their clients. So advisors were asked, where do they get new income clients? And this goes to the prospecting need that advisors are talking about. And where the money in motion trigger happens is in that IRA rollover, that pension plan distribution moment, that decision. And if we're going to help financial advisors grow their practice, which we saw a moment ago is really an important concern to them, then we probably should be focusing on this rollover or distribution opportunity. We know that if we can get financial advisors into a position where they're viewed as the specialist for this with their consumers, that they're going to get a larger share of wallet, they're going to get more of those rollovers. Simply stated, it's the easiest way for them to differentiate. Again, that's one of their concerns, differentiate in a really competitive space. In terms of specific topics that they need help with, and this is from an educational perspective, obviously Social Security, and that explains why Social Security programs have become so popular in the last 12 to 18 months. They want to know more about guaranteed products, how to use those with their clients, how to integrate those into their planning process. Healthcare is really an emerging concern, along with long-term care, and understanding Medicare as well. So these are areas that are ripe for folks like you and I to develop programs to help those financial advisors. Our experience is consistent with this. In one of our most recent engagements, we developed a pretty comprehensive retirement income planning program that included training, books to support it, included calculators, discovery tools, as well as a marketing platform. We even had a tool to help with this distributional retirement rollover money in motion that related to pension offers, which is becoming quite an interesting opportunity in the marketplace. And as a result, we were able to see our program attendees become active promoters of the products for this customer that we were working with. So our experience is consistent with what we're hearing from financial advisors, so we really would encourage you to take that direction. Those of you that aren't familiar with us, we wanted to take just a minute to tell you a little bit about our background and what we do. Catherine and I are the co-founders. We've both been practicing registered investment advisors and financial planners going back over 3 decades. We built and managed one of the largest branch offices for one of the largest independent broker-dealers in the United States, as well as having had our own marketing organizations. And most recently, we worked for 5 years to help one organization drive over $10 billion in new product sales. So our marketing team is very experienced. We're very focused on this space. It's not an area where we're going to have to get up to speed on, what's the language and what are the milestones and what are the elements of it. And we have a pretty sophisticated process. I think you can tell that we're very research-driven. We think that that's an important starting point. If we're going to get into a program, we're going to do a fair amount of research before we get into design. Testing is absolutely critical. The way that it is packaged and ultimately the way it's executed. It's got to drive results at the end of the day, and so it's got to have all of those pieces come together in one concentrated effort. And so that's kind of our process. What we've learned are that there are 4 components to a successful program. It's got to be actionable. It's got to be something that the advisor can take back to his office and put in and implement relatively easily. It's got to be relevant to their specific practice if it's going to be a successful program. You've got to educate them about how to use the program and why they use the program. This is probably one of the biggest shortcomings that we see in programs that are being offered. In that 75% of the programs that advisors are dissatisfied with, this is probably the major reason. Folks just don't take the time to explain how to execute so that they can get results. And finally, it really can't be product-driven. I know we get lots of requests from folks like you who say, yeah, I'd kind of like to wrap it around, this new manager or this new annuity or this new income strategy, and really the more it is about product, the less it's going to be adopted on an extensive basis by a financial advisor. Our experience has been that you've got to have an integrated strategy. You can't just create a program that exists in space. And so it's really got to be tightly integrated from a communication standpoint. You can't really go out and build or buy a standalone program if you haven't integrated the communication and education with it. We know this. We've lived it. We've watched programs. Good programs get purchased, money spent, launched, but there was no communication plan to speak of, and there was no educational component, and ultimately they failed. And when we say integrated, really, think of it as a value chain that you're trying to build from your organization down through the advisor to the consumer. And so you've got to have all of those links taken care of if it's going to happen. It really starts at the level with engagement. And this is a big concept to us. It really is the key to many successful programs. And that's that you've got to get the advisor engaged first. You've got to make them aware of your value proposition. You've got to get them motivated. But more than that, it means that you've got to have someone that's willing to work with that financial advisor, because if there isn't someone in your organization on your side of the fence who's willing to build a relationship with a financial advisor, there's no way you're going to convert them to being a strategic partner with you. There's no way you're going to activate them to start using your products and services. There's no way you're going to be able to nurture them into getting the maximum value out of the relationship if you don't have someone on your side of the fence who's committed to building that relationship. So is it time for you to move that anchor? Let's quickly review. The value of these marketing programs is really in relationships. It increases sales from existing advisors. It increases loyalty and retention. It helps you acquire additional advisors. It's a great prospecting tool. And when we talk about this, we're talking about VAMPs that fit into a consultative relationship. It's not about creating a standalone lead generation system. That really doesn't work very well in our experience. All right, so what do we have in the hangar that we're working on? Well, one of the things that we've noticed, and we hope you have as well, is that it's time to rethink the way that you interact with financial advisors, because their clients are rethinking the way they interact with them. And if you're sensitive to how customers are relating to the financial advisor and interacting with them, then it's going to help you build better programs. And so more and more, we're finding financial advisors who are saying, we don't have as many meetings in the office. We use Skype and FaceTime. We've got interactive apps that help us do the fact-finding or help the clients understand some of the complex retirement income planning situations. We do more webinars for our consumers and our prospects. And we've got client portals where they can access their information on demand. And so we just don't see as many meetings in the office. The ones we have are extremely important to us. But this whole way that the advisor interacts with his customer base it has changed, and it is changing even more rapidly as we speak. We call this Generation D. Actually, Accenture did a survey, and they called it Generation D, and they've defined this market of folks as $27 trillion in assets, controlled by families that would prefer to interact digitally with their financial advisor as opposed to strictly in a face-to-face or traditional method. And so what they're looking for from their financial advisors is good, clean communication that they can get access to 24/7. It really is about being on demand. It's about having excellent content, that streams to them live or is in video. It's the opportunity to interact and build some community, and that's why social media has become so attractive. And obviously, there still needs to be calculators to help them understand the quantitative aspects of this. But this interaction thing really is changing a lot, and this is an area that we can really help you in. We're big believers in leveraging technology and websites, and we've had a fair amount of success in building successful interactions in this digital world. One of the other things we're working on is to address this thing about helping advisors grow their business and focusing on pension plan distributions and that rollover money in motion. And so we've developed an approach to pension offers that includes point-of-sale material. It allows for some digital interaction, with consumer microsites that can walk them through, a variety different aspects of the pension offer question. So these are tools that we've helped others develop, and that we would like to help you develop as well. So value-based relationships, it's really important. You can have an awful lot of success. It can drive an awful lot of sales. How can we help? Kath?
Well, that's great. Thanks, Jack. We're sure that you still have some questions, and you may want to go over some individual programs that you have. We're glad to review and analyze and assist and talk to you about those things. And we want to keep things really simple, just like we're always suggesting that you do. So all you have to do is just hit reply to the email that you received from us and say, call me, I've got questions. Please remember to include your phone number. Or you can just simply send us a question and we'll get that back to you with answers and set up a time to talk to you. We want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We look forward to speaking to you again on future stream programs, and we hope that you have a really, really great day. Thank you.